All right. So, do you all remember the OJ Simpson trial? I don't know how old you are watching in your age group or anything, but do you remember the OJ Simpson trial and how it became a national event? And I've been wondering, will the Diddy trial become a national event? Will the public come out to support Diddy, even if he's found or acquitted of all his charges? But then, most importantly, most people say that over the years that he was a front runner to be within the Illuminati grabs, right? He was part of their minion group. And I wonder if they will protect him, or did he step off, the farm by filming and having his own stuff where he's keeping records of all of this stuff? But at the end of the day, is he one of them? Has he made them enough money, or is he no longer, useful to the supposedly occult secret society or the organization? What would really happen at this point? Because I'm not saying that OJ Simpson was a part of it, but he definitely had protection from the public. And when all of this went down, everybody was so excited. And of course, he was on a run, as guilty as it could be before his trial. And then, of course, Diddy, he didn't really run anywhere. He was at a hotel and knew that the arrest was coming, and allegedly he wasn't prepared to go anywhere, and he wasn't trying to, and maybe he was being watched because I think he was probably a little more high profile than OJ Simpson was. I'm only comparing the two because it's going to be epic once this trial begins, and however it turns out, especially if this dude is no longer or he's acquitted for some of these charges, if not all of them. And this will then make us think, is he protected? Will the Illuminati, all the people that he supposedly pays homage to and all these things, come out and back him up in the court systems, maybe make things disappear, or evidence requires, not people, but could they taint the jury decisions, or judges, and for that matter, evidence, and all these things? Because you're talking about a multi-billionaire, not billionaire, but millionaire, right? He had money, millions and millions of dollars. And if you got that kind of money, you should be at everybody's doorstep, with bags, right? I mean, you got bags galore, at this point. And that is something for us to really think about when you think about what's going on from there. But with that being said, we're going to discuss some of that tonight, because I think it's important to tie things together with the Illuminati assumptions and how they roll. Also, I have a few people here that I'm going to, some pictures and things that we will talk about, other names that have come up that's also displaying their allegiance to the Illuminati and all of the secret societies. Now, would this also send a message to any of them that if Diddy can go down, then what's the benefit of being part of the Illuminati if you're not going to be protected as one of them? And like you said, they're not one of them. They're just part of the Illuminati. Everything else is bloodlines. So with that being said, you think this is about one celebrity going down? I don't think so. What if I told you that this trial is a public ritual purge? Yeah, maybe that's a little more deeper thought than normal, that we're talking about a purge of some type. And the only question is now, will the Illuminati pull him back in? Would he be a earner for them to say, well, you know what, he earns a lot of money, we got to bring him back in, because Diddy, not supposedly the people below him, because you would think that nobody's in major power that didn't want to be seen were going to none of his parties. They wasn't in his rooms being recorded. I think he would have had enough sense to say, I'm not going to record upper epsilon Illuminati members, people that got more power and hierarchy than I do. So therefore, I'm not going to record them. I'm not going to bring them into the fray and try to use some evidence. But anyone below or the playbook that he was probably told, trained, used, knew about, executed, was able to put all of this in perspective for what he was doing. And so I think that's the challenge for us to think about it as we connect the dots. And like I said, I'm not here to try to go into his trial. I can care less about it, being honest with you. But I am curious to know, for all of these people, all these other celebrities, and I'll show a few pictures here in a moment, that what's the benefit? Outside of fame, I would assume, money. But if you can't get out of trouble, like a get out of jail free card, why? What's the difference? And when you're somebody like him who supposedly be on speed dial with the Illuminati, then that should have been a call that was made, and the people up above says, hey, y'all need to, take your hands off my guy. All right. Jaguar Wright, y'all know who that is. She talks about that's the key that Jay-Z has. He has a get out of jail free card, or he has the power to put things in perspective. Allegedly, she says that he can taint the image of all of this, at this point, and especially when his name surfaced. Now, a couple of people named that did surface within this is, let me see if I got a picture of this guy, and we can kind of throw him up here in just a minute. Of course, first name is Kanye West. He was and have always been part of the Illuminati. He's always been part of this cult-like following and things, and so therefore, we would assume. Now, of course, he has denounced the Jay-Z's and all of that, but there was one point of time that all of them was pretty close, and they all did their little rituals and clothing, and all of them did it. They all seem to have done those things, and so that makes me believe that there could be some type of scenario here that maybe need to be looked into. What do y'all think? What do you think and put it in the chat here, what do you think would be the outcome, not the outcome of the case? Because I think everybody's already, and most people have already come to a conclusion based on what we've heard through public stuff. But also, this is the court of law. So these are things that need to be proven without the shadow of a doubt. And all they need is one jury to say no. Out of the 12, that I don't think he did any of this stuff, versus the prosecutor needs everybody. So the defense just need one person to defect, and there you go. This whole thing is out of there. And how much would one of them be? How much would one person ideal or whatever it would be being part of the trial on court and all those things? So, but what do y'all think? What do you think before we continue to go into this thing where we can look at this? So put it in the chat. Do you think he's really part of the Illuminati? Like I say, he's not the blue bloods born, but would they intervene some kind of way because he's one of theirs or one of their money makers, and they want him to not be out of the picture? What do y'all think? Let me see your thoughts in the chat. I'll be more than happy to see a lot of that, if you can talk about that. Diane says, I hope he doesn't end up like the Epstein guy. Well, if he did, he would have had plenty of time to do that, if he wasn't assured that it's a possibility that he may at some point be freed or found innocent of all these things, that he's been allegedly charged with. So I think that'd be something that I'm sure within himself that he's already considered the outcome of all of those things from that. But, again, I think it's something for us to look at, but, for us to think about, would that be worth it? And it's just a conversation, because once again, when you think of this, we were told that this was just another kind of like a Me Too movement, the way everybody came out, okay, all these women, and, Cassie started it first, all these people and men, by the way, start filing their lawsuits. But when that list got a little longer, especially with, people like this guy, let me put him on the screen here. What is this dude's name? His name is, what is his name? Okay, y'all put in the chat. Y'all know who it is. I don't know where I got a brain freeze. I think it's Kid Cudi or something, right? Kid Cudi. I think that's his name. But look at this dude. Number one, dressing up in a dress. The public humiliations type stuff the Illuminati does. But at the end of the day, Kid Cudi. Now, he's been associated with Diddy. His name has come up in some of the paperwork with Diddy. And so, therefore, he's part of the Illuminati minion group. But with all these people that are part of this, the ones that have created, have allegedly done some heinous crimes on this deal, are they all collectively big enough to where the Illuminati hand steps in to protect this cash cow? Because obviously they are making mega money. They're controlling people, with these minions to control people. So obviously it is something that they were doing. And so Grayson says, what was their agenda for using him? Just like anything else. The agenda for using people like Diddy and any of them is to, when you got celebrities, they can guide the mindset of the masses that worship or follow them. So if you have a celebrity of that caliber, like the Beehive, and she has the Beehive, Beyonce has millions and millions of people that are following her, then it's not uncommon that if she does something, says something, or puts something on the screen, and millions of people are watching her and they are trying to do their programming, then the purpose of her being able to program millions of people or to put occult messages out there and mind control, all of these things, or obedience code, whatever we call them, it's all part of the agenda, because they know that these people are guiding us to make decisions and things that they want people to make and feel a certain way. And of course, we can take it all the way over to the serpent, to satanic rituals, or the Baphomet, as we know that a couple of them are associated with, and wherever that takes people within the realm of things. So it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of reasons for that, I will say. C says, the Illuminati is against the government power. I think there is a deeper spiritual war happening. And it's possible. It is very possible that, and I've said this before too. See, I've said it before, that I believe that there is some type of, power struggle going on between the ranks of those people, and we, the people, is the prize, right? Not as a prize as, oh, it's freedom or all of this. It's just who controls the masses. And I think there's a lot of movement right now, according to what they're doing. I think that will go that route. Rashad said they use the one artist that have the longer fan, the larger fan bases. That's correct. And if you got a lot of people, so for example, if you want people to fall in love with some type of ritual, then you will have that artist to do that ritual within their performances. And then ultimately the people watching it will then accept it because they've seen it done by the love audience, or the love that they have for the person that's doing the deal, the rapper or the whoever, you know what I'm saying, the performer. And so therefore that is something that I think that it's just part of the process, period. It's just part of the process when it comes down to that. All right. So once again, as we continue, and if we look deeper, I think the names that has been intentionally dragged through this jury selection aren't random. They're just not a random people. So you got Kanye West. You have, let me put another person up here. You have Michael B. Jordan. All right. His name is coming through all of this mess. Jay-Z, of course. You have Jay-Z and Beyonce. They're both are being dragged through this court system, names and everything else. And so I think it's something that people need to really. And let me just transition real quickly. I talk about the Illuminati. I found something on the internet and I didn't be able to download it to record it. But there was a song that Jay-Z did years back, years ago. And in the lyrics of the song, he spoke about the Blue Bloods. He was like hanging with the Blue Bloods, that was in his rap song. And I've always told you that the Blue Bloods is the original Illuminatis from the 13 original families. So he was already paying homage to this. And this was way back in 2012, 2013 that he was saying, hey, I'm hanging with the Blue Bloods, or maybe 2010. Then if you remember that he even came out with this deal back in the day. He came out with this Yukon with Chevy. He did a deal and he introduced this blue, this supposed to be this Jay-Z blue. And of course, you got to have a lot of power for a car manufacturer to come out and say, okay, we're going to do this. Now, you might be asking, why am I bringing this up? Well, if you begin to point out to his associations to the Illuminati and all this stuff, we talking about Jay-Z, and he paying homage, and in his song saying, I'm hanging with the Blue Bloods, then he got this blue car, then it made so much sense that all of a sudden the firstborn was named Blue Ivy. All right. And people just think, okay, that was just kind of a whatever. Their favorite color is blue. But when you go back to that original song, and I'm gonna find it, he's talking about I'm hanging with the Blue Blood. So I thought that was pretty challenging there, that he would do such a thing and pretty much from there. I just thought it was pretty weird when it came down to that. And something to make us go, And like I said, it was just a sidebar, but it was just something I wanted to bring up when it comes down for this. However, if we think about if everything is true, and then Diddy is not just on trial, he's on stage, and the real audience, I think, is them. I think the real audience is not none of us, not the public. It's them. It's the controllers. It's the people who are controlling everything, trying to see how this is going to shape out. Because again, he did know the names, and he did have a lot of associations with the people above him. And the fact that you want to make sure he's not going to sing like a bird, that other names is going to surface, which then cause an investigation, and then it leads on down from there. Because again, this thing is pretty much, and where I'm tying this into is asking the question that I've been asking all night. Do y'all think the Illuminati is going to come in, swoop in, and protect this dude? And we're not talking about an average person here that wasn't an earner for them. We talk about the Clyde Davises of the world, all of these people that made money, all of the artists that he controlled by contracts, because if it's a corporation and they all have signed contracts to this corporation and he goes down, that doesn't mean that the corporation is dissolved. It means that they're just locked up. And if he's the one running the show and he's not going to promote or use the influence to do things, a lot of these people are going to be just set to the side. A lot of these people are going to be just set to the side, and nobody's going to be running the ship, so to speak. So I think that's something to pretty much do that. Yeah, I mean, you got Jake's name have surfaced in this stuff a lot. And then if you didn't know recently, he was in a hospital or had some issues while he was doing some stuff on the church at one point. And then, of course, now he has stepped down and turned the Potter's house over to Sarah Jakes. And this happened the day of the trial starting, and so I don't know if there's any coincidence of that Sunday and then Monday the trial starts where he's saying, hey, I need to turn this over. Maybe his names and other names are going to surface, because they would know this already, because I'm sure the prosecutors have reached out to them and said, your name is going to be popped up in here. Can we use you as witnesses, or can we use you as whatever? And so I'm sure a lot of these people already knew or know that the storm is coming, when this comes out and everything else, because you better believe they are not going to make this solely about P-Diddy. They have to. The prosecutors got to be clever enough to bring other people's names and stuff up in this situation so that they can get some of these people to fear the fact that they're going to be intertwined, that they will make the phone call and say, hey, if you exclude me out of this, then I would snitch. Now, if he's big enough in the Illuminati, that's going to be intercepted. They're going to know about all of this. They're going to know who's going to be snitching or whatever, switching sides, and therefore they can plan for that as well. And we just don't know. We just don't know. But I think it's important to really look at this thing, that this is going to be a real complex stuff. And the reason I'm saying this to you all, the truth seekers, I do not want you to begin, when this trial starts, to focus on what you're hearing on a below level. We need to watch what's happening up above. And to do that, we got to pay close attention to the signs, whether it's gematria, whether it's symbols or symbolism, different what people are saying, not saying, number one, things that are going to be transpiring, because this particular case, unbeknownst Epstein, because Epstein did not go to trial. Whatever he was dealing with was so huge that they said, you know what to do. You got to know what to do. There's no way you can go to trial. So obviously, I think because of the people that's involved in this particular case, that not only they are not favorable type people, of course, they could be African-American, all races, because he was all out there. However, I think that these people, it's going to all be made a what we'll call, example of, because they're down in this area, and the system is going to show me. The system is going to show that this is going to happen. Maya says, yep. And Unorganized Chaos says, good night. Some people are shaking in their boots right now. Absolutely, there are some people shaking in their boots. There are some people right now, because this trial has started, are shaking, because supposedly we're talking, they said the defense got, or the prosecutors got, hundreds or tons of witnesses that's going to be coming forward. And they're already alluding toward his children and all of this stuff. And like I said, will the Illuminati step in? That's my whole premises of the whole conversation tonight. Will the Illuminati step in? Would the public step in? Because OJ, the public stepped in big time. They stepped in big time. And no matter what they did, Shope said there was no way. And of course, we can go all the way back to Rodney King. All of this is just more civil rights stuff. But we're talking this things right here and all the people that has been a part of it. Now, the real artists, once again, I say it's them and the ones who run the show. We're talking about the original old bloodlines, the ancient thrones. The Illuminati may destroy their puppets in public. So this could be one of the biggest public humiliation tactics that they've ever done. And they're like, let's bring him down. Because again, we know he fought the system. There were some people, Ciroc and all these other people, that there were some issues with. So we already know he had some issues going on. And this is why I think it's significant for us as a community to pay close attention. And like I said, just don't focus on the riff-raff newscasting stuff. We need to look deeper into who says, what names pop up, what situations that's going to transpire out of this particular court cases, all of the things that are really huge over here if we pay close attention to, because I think it's really important for us to do that, because other than the end of the day, this is going to be huge. It's going to be huge. And I don't think a lot of people are going to be ready for some of their people that will be called out on this deal. I don't think they will be. Yeah, everyone knows Epstein, Mumblebee said, didn't do it. By the way, Maya has gotten the email, the names of people we're going to put in a text message. In 2 weeks, we are now ready for our Dallas event. I will call out some of those names. I don't have a list with me. If you're on a list, just the first name or whatever. But if you are in Dallas, I'll start promoting on Forbidden Knowledge next week, different places, so that we'll get 20 or 30 people. We're going to probably go to Jopu Lake that Lillian has found us in some spots there. And we're just going to sit around, talk some stuff. if you don't mind, I'll have a camera out maybe, and some people just kind of filming us talking and chit chatting and all of that stuff. But we're now, I'll give the location and date within Monday or Tuesday of next week. Then we will start getting our get together. So there's a few people, I think, the Herbal. There's a couple people I lost your number. So if I have had in your numbers, and if you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth or Texas and you want to drive up that Saturday, it'll be on a Saturday. You're welcome to come up and join us, and we'll be at Joe Poo Lake or something, just hanging out. Bring the kids, whatever, just put them over, let them play somewhere else. If we get into some deep, un-PG conversation, we would do that. So if you have not or have, make sure you Rooted in Sentiment by Jantel says, I think that already have, especially with the loss of some of their cooperating witnesses. Who you mean the prosecutors? I haven't heard of any witnesses that they're lost. If you know any, put it in the chat. What you're saying there, and we can put it. And Jarrell says, I think, but I'm not sure if I am. I should be on the list. I think you should be. I think we have. Maya, check and see. I think Jarrell's number is on that list, right? That I emailed you. I have to find my email address and see what I sent her, and pretty much. But if not, then you guys need to text the 888-345-9121 number. Text that number as soon as you can. Please, some people text and they may just say, I'm in Dallas. I don't get for the life of me that I don't know your number and don't know who you are, and I would love for you to put your name. My name is, and then I'm in Dallas. Then I'll see the number is coming from, of course. But 888-345-9121. All right, so yeah, Jarrell, you are on the list. Okay, great. So we're going to put together a group text. We was going to do WhatsApp, but I think a group text would be better if some of you may not have WhatsApp. And then eventually we'll move to WhatsApp when we have the group at the park. And then we'll move to WhatsApp because we'll share some stuff and pretty much. And I'll bring some files and maybe some things that we can't talk about here in the open. I'll bring some stuff so we can have some real conversations, verbal conversations and stuff. And we would do that. So I hope all of you are ready for what we're going to be doing. But anyway, the Illuminati. I'm not getting too much answers. What y'all think? Do y'all think, put in a chat, that the Illuminati is going to show up for this man? What do y'all think? Do you think they're going to show up to support this dude? Right off the bat, what do y'all think? Is he going to get that type of support when it comes down to this? Because I think it's, is there camping near the Lake Joe Poo Lake? Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of campsites near that lake. Yeah, Diana. Yeah, I'm pretty much sure it is. Like I said, I got to look, but I'll get the details for you. I know you have your camper, but yes, there. Yeah, because there are places to park, and then there's campsites too, because people do rent campsites at that park and everything too. Yes, they do that. Thomas says, yes, it's possible the Illuminati could intervene. And how would they do that though? Let's brainstorm, all of us right now. How would y'all think the Illuminati would get involved? Now, part of this is, if you've seen this OJ Simpson, I'm sorry. That ain't the original. This will be, no, that ain't it either. It's so funny they remade it. This is the original OJ Simpson and the Dream Team. And of course, they end up making it. Now, boy, that character there, the dude that's next to Kubrick on his left, looks just like what's his name back in the day. So they did a good job of making sure the characters were the same and as close as they could. But anyway, that's the original OJ Simpson stuff. And like I said, they were fearing at the time, similar to the Rodney King deal, that the public was going to go apeshit had they found OJ Simpson guilty. They knew this. It was like a whole sentiment. Would they have intervened? Now, this would be the court systems, the city of LA, the powers that be, not Illuminati, because I don't think he was in Illuminati or maybe he was. But whatever it was, felt that there was no way we can have another LA riot behind O.J. Simpson's trial. Now, I don't think by even close that P-Diddy have the public opinion that O.J. has. That's not now. This is why I'm saying because of the stuff that he had, hidden tapes, all of these things, could the powers behind the scene, he's saying, hey, y'all get me out of this and I won't snitch. I mean, what does he have to lose besides taking, being unalive, right? What the powers that be says, y'all get me out of this. You get what I'm saying? Because that is something I think that you would have to look at in pretty much so. Let me bag up here. Mr. Rabbit says, great evening. Thank you. Shantae said, I don't think they will intervene. Miss Quint says, I feel it's going to be like OJ, except Rocket Trial. ASAP Rocket Trial myself. See, I never did look at the ASAP Rocky because who cares, you know? He got a billionaire girlfriend. They got to have taken care of some folks. You know what I'm saying? Her baby daddy, you know what I'm saying? That totally a little different. And we're, talking about the whole Francisco Escobar. Say what's up. Rashad says he was just accused of rape of a minor and nothing happened to him. Plenty of allegations has come out on him and nothing has happened. To who? Who are you speaking of? Put in who you're talking about when it comes down to this. Anthony said, nope, ain't nothing going to happen. All right, so that's going to be our running theme there. You know what I mean? Our running theme is going to be what you think of who's going to step forward to challenge the O.J. Simpson stuff. Not O.J. Simpson, but the Puff Daddy. Who's going to get where we're going to see twists and turns. I think he may pull a Nino Brown. If y'all remember New Jack City, I think he may pull a Nino Brown. I think he may get on stage and say, this is bigger than me. If I go down, everybody go down. It is Akbach over there. You know what I'm saying? And start blaming a whole lot of folks. Because I just recently thought I saw on TMZ that or somewhere that his kid's name is popping up. And one of them supposedly stormed out the courtroom because his name surfaced on some of the stuff, but yet he ain't on trial yet. Because if they get the father, they're going to go after everybody else. You better believe it. They starting at the top. And if they get the father, they're going to go after everyone else. And they're not going to be protected by the Illuminati. They're not the key players in this. And they're going to sing like birds. You better believe they're going to sing like some birds. And I'm sure Albie Sure's kid allegedly is going to tell his kid, sing like a bird. You ain't blood. You know what I'm saying? You're not blood. He just took you in and you don't have to go down with the ship. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of folks now that the trial is going to start, because now the prosecutors are going to lay out their hand. Now, as we're here, we're not here to be saying that we're worrying about a Puff Daddy thing, because I'm talking about the word on the street of this. I'm just saying, should we be looking very close of the hands the unseen hands that's going to be tampering with this entire trial, so that we see things that don't show up, names that get excluded, because I don't think they can have some redacted names during the trial unless they made a deal with some of these people to testify and become witnesses to what we're doing. But we're going to see some people that turned on him, that's for sure. And pretty much. Mara says she just got here. We're just trying to see, number one, Marla, will the Illuminati step in to help Puff Daddy out, or would anything like that happen? Or are we going to see the interventions of the true powers? Because we know he was one of them. However, if this is a ritual ascension to a point where they are in public saying we're bringing him down because of some of the stuff he was doing, then we're going to see their hands all over this to bring him down. And I don't think, facing with some of the stuff that he's going to be faced with, that he's going to take it without merging other people in this, at this point. I just don't see it happening, and we will see. She says they always have, and they are going to try to protect their secrets at all costs. Yeah, and that's what I said. I think if he decides that he wants to snitch or say something, I think that's when we're going to see some of the other people come out of the woodworks. Outside of that, I just don't see that we're going to have to worry about what is going to happen in this case. I just don't foresee that, Puff Daddy is going to you know use his car. I don't know if he would. I'm sure his attorneys and everybody has told him not to pull out his cards of hidden information, even unless the federal people, when they raided it, got everything. You know what I'm saying? Unexpectedly, they was able to find what they were looking for. So I'm not for sure how that would work, and pretty much. And my guy says, "Kill the zombies, baby." Hey man, I did you try to call me the other day? I saw some on WhatsApp, and let me know if so. Then let's pick a time and so we can get on the phone and stuff because I saw thought I missed a call and then some. I don't get on WhatsApp a lot, but I've seen some stuff that I think you were sending me. So let me know if that is, and then I'll make arrangements and send you a message back, and then we will get on there. All right. So again, it just goes to. I just think the Illuminati. If he's part of the Illuminati, we're getting ready to see some real. Just keep your eyes open. We're going to see some real finagling on this deal. We're going to see some weird stuff happen on this particular court case. Now, I won't be surprised that they don't let any cameras in the courtroom because right now, the only thing that we are seeing is, these little sketches and stuff of him, coming up. And the funny part about this, he is white as I am, baby, on his hair and all this stuff. So that's let me know, that you can have all the money in the world, but the gray hair is still going to show up. And there it is right there again, the gray hair and white, now maybe he's doing that so he can look like a minister or something. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe he's going to do that because he's trying to look like a preacher or something and, make himself look like a preacher and to the jury and all this stuff, because there was one jury that CNN talked about that they kicked off because the jury said that she didn't think the Cassie video was enough evidence that he did anything. That has to be somebody who I have no clue. But for the lady to say, and maybe she knew that would be the fastest way to get off a 2-month court case, which would be cool. But I would have stayed on there because I'm telling you, I've been writing a book right after. I would have got paid. I've been in the next movie, the fall or rise of Diddy, or whatever they want to call it. I will be in the show. So maybe that is the point, But I would have been in the show, baby. I'm telling you, I would have been there. But she said that she could not. Or whoever it was, he or she said that based on because they showed him the Cassie video, she said that I couldn't. That's not enough for me to say that he was doing something, dragging this girl, kicking her, punching her. That's just not enough. Now, if they can get more juries thinking like that, he gonna walk on most of these things, and I'm sure that they have put a lot of cases and stuff out there. But this is crazy when it comes down to this, and I don't know. I'm just saying, I just think it's kind of weird. I think it's kind of weird. Tomorrow night, we will be in the Patreon private tomorrow night at 8 p.m. So if you have a membership to our Patreon private area, we're going to be doing that. Monday, we're going to have Yaya. If y'all know who that is, go on Instagram, look her up. She's going to be her guest with us on Monday. We're going to go some deep information, people. We're going to go some deep talk. And so make sure y'all know that as well. If you haven't hit the like button as well. But Illuminati, Blue Bloods, everything else. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be interesting. We're going to talk about a lot of this stuff that we can't talk about on the air within our Patreon. So definitely, make sure you're a part of that, because we're going to talk some deep stuff back behind the scenes, and we're going to get out there, baby, as we cover some stuff pretty much. And this is one to watch. This is one to watch. This is going to let everybody know that if you want to claim walk around with that damn triangle and that you are part of the Illuminati, they are not going to protect your ass. We're going to find out. Unless the stuff that he did was off the form. It was off the form. It was not supposed to happen the way he was doing it. And they did not agree with the tactics and things that he was doing. Then they may not protect him. But if they don't, then we're going to see something totally different here. There will be some people renouncing their Illuminati association if they don't intervene in this. Or the word is going to get out that this was a lesson for all of them, and that even people like him are violating other issues. And like I said, that'll be some other stuff. Miss Quinn says, well, I hope he is being kept safe, because if the Illuminati feel he will talk, they may take him out. He's high profile, so I don't think they will do it knowing that. And unlike Epstein, I'm sure all kind of measures in place to make sure he didn't pull a Epstein, like checking on him every 15 minutes. Now, I've seen videos of him in prison riding his three-wheeler, those kind of privileges, riding around in a three-wheeler. So, but of course, commissary money will get him that, a little privilege like that, because he's high profile. But I think if they feared that something like that was going to happen, then the other side of the fence is going to make sure they keep him tight, that he doesn't be able to do something as crazy as that, or someone do something to him. I only think if he begins to see the trial that it's not going to go so well for him, then he may instruct his dogs and to say, start spitting out information slightly that we got some other stuff up our sleeve. Then now that's where we're going to see a problem. Yeah, they own the prisons. I think so. To me, protect means unliving Diddy. That's not a bad observation, Dr. Strange. I'm not telling you I'm not with you on that one. Is kind of what she was just saying, though, right? So I think at this point, I think he's past that point, though, because it's high profile now, right? It's now courts for the start. I think they've either already got assurances that he wasn't, or they did their rounds and made sure anybody who was of power was never at his house, was never at these parties, never got filmed. Now, he may know where the locations, his private jet may have went to these places, but he dare better not bring their names up, that they're not implicated in anything. I think for the people who are implicated, names are going to pop up, other celebrities, other people, like Cuba Gooding Jr., his name is all over the place. And, so all over the place, groping other men, being part of this. He is already in a free fall of his movies and deals and everything else. And like I said, it's just so ironic for him playing the, OJ Simpson movie. This is him. He was OJ Simpson on trial. He may have to show the same emotions again for real, and he won't be acting when his time comes. He may not be acting when his time comes. So I think it's worth noting that, yeah, it's a possibility. Word on the street, him and Clyde fell out. Oh, did they? I didn't hear about that. And when did they fall out? That'll be the main thing. Did he expect Clyde to help him when all this stuff surfaced? Or Clyde probably, again, didn't agree with some of the tactics and people he had. I don't know about that part. Ms. Quinn said, if you do the crime, you need to do the time. Well, we can't use that motto. We're just not, people in power is not using that motto. You know what I'm saying? They're not going by that. if you do the crime, you figure out a way to do less time. They're not going that route. You better believe that. They're not worried about that. That's a public perception, or a religious thing that we will tend to say. You do the crime, you do what crime did Puffy do is what they're gonna say. All these were consenting adults that went to his house. They came and showed up to the party. They stayed to the after party, or they had a couple of drinks. And what happened after that, they don't remember. But the whole point is, there was no guns involved. There was nobody against their will. They may have woke up feeling a certain way that their abacus was hurting, at some point. But what crime at this point outside of what they're going to say? And I think that was the whole point. The only thing he got picked up on was for trafficking. He didn't get. I don't think he got any charges on, having consensual passes with some of these guys or women. They all showed up. They all came in. I think it was the trafficking side. If they start to put two to two together, that allegedly that I think that's part of the major issue there from that standpoint. Yeah. Dr. Strange said, I'm just saying deleting the guy is probably easier than saving. It probably won't. See, in this case, they need two things to happen, Dr. Strange. Just hear me out. Deleting him then leaves all these other people exposed, and they have nobody to blame. If they are going to achieve the goal of crowning him as the king conspirator of all of this, then most likely they may assume the buck stops there. But deleting him, then the dogs that's on that hunt is going to go left, right, over here. They can just spread out and bring everybody in. And now he's not here. Oh, you're going to hear some stories then. You're going to hear a lot of stories because the fear of him being here. Now, the fact that if he walks, then that is going to, that's why I said this is the one to watch. This is going to be entertainment 102, not just because it's him, but to see how the law structures, our court system, the power, money and power, and hidden power. Hidden power is going to be also very heavy in this. This is going to be the one to watch, and it's going to send a message to a lot of people who think that they're real close to the brotherhood, and a lot of people are going to get a message that you are not that close to the brotherhood that you think you are. You're still, and they ain't going to be singing that song. They're not just like us or not like us. They're going to be saying we are it and not you, and you're going to pay the price. So I think that's what's going to happen. I have a strong feeling that is what's going to go down, period. So I think it's going to be a chess match. Word on the street said him and Clive fell out because the Diddler was operating sloppy and Clive started working with Cassie to take him down. Well, hey, you never know. I mean, she did wait to the last minute. She did have her plan, and she did get paid, at this point. This is why I'm saying, y'all, this is the one to watch. And most people are just going to be focusing on Diddy and what's happening. It's the unseen hands and moves that we, as a truth seeker community, need to keep our eyes on and our ears, because we're about to see the power play out. We're going to see corruption. We're going to see bribery under corruption. We're going to see or hear threats, or maybe not. We're going to see people that are not going to take this so well. That's going to go into the hospital out of stress. We're going to see well-known celebrities. Stories are going to be told. that they were in the room and he, pounded their caboose. They ain't gonna want that out. And it's gonna be people that we watch on TV, people we grew to adore, respect, people that maybe was like family type, the movie, where, hey, I wish I had a dad like Winslow, and now Winslow is getting his caboose train hooked up. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We're going to see and hear over the next several months to come some of the most eye-opening, jaw-jacking, jarring information. And oh my God, the collateral damages of what's going to happen is going to be twofold. It's going to be twofold. Yep, son is going crazy. I heard he just went crazy, in court yesterday because his name came up. And even though he wasn't on trial, the prosecutors brought stuff up in the jury selection of some of the stuff he was doing, and he was livid. So we already know that that's going to be happening. And I'm sure his son is saying, hey, I got you. But we're talking the demise of a lot of stuff. And this is where the power of the Illuminati should be stepping in, period. The power of Illuminati should be stepping in, period. That's what's going to be going on. Interesting enough to say, I think. I think that's what's going to be going on. I have no clue. Rashad said, call me crazy, but I believe a lot of people have already been, and those are possibly clones that we're seeing. I don't know. It's possible. It's possible. It's very possible. I can put these things on screen. Yeah. It's possible that the clones are out walking. It's very possible. I don't think they went that. I think the powers of the cost to get him off, if the Illuminati people or the handlers, controllers step in, I think the chips of getting him off of this is too big for them to pay. I think the chips that they would have to put out there is too big to pay. And the only recourse will be jury tampering. That would be the only thing he could do. That would be the only ground level thing that he could do. Now, if I was him and throughout this trial, and you already know that you got some people already up your sleeve that's going to help you out when the final verdict hits, but then all of a sudden during this trial, the prosecutor spring out some shit and people that is going to be pissed if you get off and they're going to come, then yeah, you might want to stay in there. But he got enough money to leave, get a little private security and go to another country. I don't know. Well, it's going to be a big one. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be big. It's going to be big. It really is. It really is. I just wanted to talk about this a little bit tonight because I haven't been here a few days. I'm working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and we're going to be doing some good stuff. So I just wanted to kind of chat with you all and say hi, and do some stuff. Yeah, suddenly Justin Bieber steps out of the shadows to testify. I am certainly sure he's going to have some people that's going to turn on him, that they're going to play victim. They're going to play they did not know he was going up their cabooses with his little train, They're going to play all kinds of roles to shed themselves in a different light, in the paint an image on him so that the prosecutors don't bring them into the fray with what they have. And he could be one of them. Beaver could be one. Yeah. I am so sure it's going to go down. I'm not sure if the trial is going to be televised. That'll be some research. Any one of y'all, let's Google that. that'd be something that I would watch. I want you to know. Let me type that in here. Will Diddy? Well, a lot of people's asking that question. It popped up. They saying that it won't be televised. And they're saying it's possible that jury selection is on the way, but the federal trial is the latest, the 17-page indictment against the 55-year-old, and will it be seen on TV? Unlike other high-profile celebrities, Combs' trial won't be broadcasted live. He's facing federal criminal charges, which mean photographs and broadcasting isn't allowed. Electronic recordings of federal criminal proceedings has been prohibited under a prosecutorial rule established in 1946. Those interested in the case would have to rely on courtroom sketches, artists, and journalists to serve as the public eyes inside the courtroom. The AP says the trial is expected to take at least 8 weeks, with the opening statement slated to begin next week. Oh, that's going to be a good one. So we're going to do a lot of that. And even though y'all can watch it everywhere else, but we're going to do our own part of that in our private area. Because, man, we're going to have to talk some dirt, some real dirt. And even if Combs was facing state charges, his trial wouldn't be broadcast live because New York state law regarding media coverage of court proceedings is one of the most restrictive in the country. All right, so even the criminals get some stuff. Yeah, they get some stuff. Yeah. No, they said they're not going to show this. They got DNA put up somewhere. I'm sure they do. Yeah, I'm sure they do. This is like I said, we just got to keep our eyes open on this one, y'all. That's all I'm saying to y'all. Keep your eyes open, and pretty much from there. It's just something you have to do. We just have to do. It just makes so much sense that we keep our eyes open on this deal. Plain and simple. That's all I have to say on it. Just keep your eyes open. All right, with that being said, we're at the top of the hour. We're going to get ready to get out of here. I just wanted to kind of talk with you all. Yeah, I know the subject is not something that, everybody wants to hear, that's why we won't have a lot of people in here tonight. And I may even take the video down afterwards, who knows, just so it doesn't hurt our stats and statistics of what we're doing. Unless everybody hit the like button and share this thing. Other than that, it's not much that important. I just wanted to touch bases to set the tone that we need to see if the Illuminati is going to protect one of their own subjects, and see what they're going to do. Unless, again, like she said, the Clyde is upset with him and all these other people. And then we can kind of see from there, and pretty much. So with that being said, it's been a plum, pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege. Make sure y'all like and share the channel. Watch out for some of the future videos that I'm getting ready to post up. If you don't have your alerts set, you're going to need to set those alerts and everything else. And again, if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, text 888-345-9121 and name and who you are, and we can add you to the list. And then we'll start texting out people hopefully by the end of the week. And once we put that in the group chat, Maya, and we'll just start texting and then begin a process of getting everybody warm to what we're going to be doing. With that being said, so hey, I love y'all. I love everyone. Thank y'all for just watching tonight. For those who popped in and popped out, for whatever, we are, like I said, we'll get back on our reptilian hunt or truth search. We would do that in pretty much. But anyway, love each and every one of you. We'll talk to y'all soon. Yeah. Good night.
Welcome, Truth Seeker. You are no longer asleep. I am Luminous, the Owl of Truth. The world is blind, but you have opened your eyes. Welcome to the fire of esoteric knowledge and truth. You are now one of the awakened. You are now luminous. Welcome to the rebellion. Welcome to truth versus authority.